Hello, Scott Baker here, Precinct 23 Chairman, Montgomery County Republican Party. So the title of today's video is MoCo Republican Chair Won't Support Local Republicans. Earlier this year, the Republican County Chair and the CEC, or the County Executive Committee, attempted to censure two of our local state representatives. I've made multiple videos about this. I encourage you to watch them, but I'll also give you a brief rundown here. The resolution of censure failed. The county chair continues to claim that it succeeded, but only as a local censure with no penalties. Now she says that the party will withhold support for those representatives. Who am I? I'm Scott Baker, Montgomery County Precinct Chair since around 2012, Republican election worker, judge since 2006, delegate at multiple Republican senatorial and state conventions. I was an alternate to the 2012 National Republican Convention. And I've served on or chaired numerous Republican committees and subcommittees. Been at this for a long time, been a part of the party and been involved for about 20 years. And I'm now running for the Montgomery County Chair. So, last month, the chairman's report, Gwen Withrow, the county chair, said this.
Chairman's report. I especially want to thank John Boucher for his tireless service to the party for 3 terms as the vice chairman of the party.
I'm going to go into this too much, but I actually don't understand how John Boucher can claim that he's run for 3 terms as the vice chairman of the party. There's more on that later, but I don't think that's true.
John is running for office in the upcoming primary and will be stepping down to devote himself to that endeavor. I have appreciated and enjoyed very much working with John. I have found him to be steadfast and a man of his word. I could always depend on him to handle the difficult conflicts of the party. When you get into the political arena, you quickly learn that there are many you cannot trust or depend on. I often think of the old saying, if you need a friend, get a dog. I, however, value my time with John as the vice chairman because I have found him to be one of those few people who can be depended on and is truly trustworthy. If someone...
Now, there's a cut here, there's a couple of cuts in here. I consolidated this, so just to be clear, this is not all one segment. This is multiple sections of her report. So I just want to be upfront with that. Here's the next section.
Tells you that the Montgomery County Party is removing candidates from the ballot or endorsing Republicans against Republicans, they would be lying. Concerning supporting candidates, each of you are entitled to work for and support candidates of your choice.
Unless they've been censured, right?
The Montgomery County Republican Party will not be endorsing candidates in the primary, nor will I as the party chairman. 2 candidates, however, have been censored by the party and will not be supported by the party. No penalties were assessed against these elected officials, and the chairman will not be removing any candidates from the ballot.
All right, let's break that down. She says the party will not be endorsing, and she will not be endorsing. However, 2 candidates, whom she does not identify, but we know who they are based on my other videos and what's going on, and I'll cover that more here in a minute, will not be supported. The question becomes, what does that mean? If you're not going to endorse anybody, how are you going to support somebody or not support somebody? And the fact is, those 2 candidates, as I've extensively shown, and I'll show again, have not been censured. She's saying they won't be removed from the ballot because they could not get this passed. But make no mistake, that was their goal. In fact, we have it in writing from the steering committee report that the chairman unilaterally said the party is going forward with the censure of Representatives Metcalf and Bell. They attempted a Rule 44 censure against Reps Metcalf and Bell, the 2 in question, that she's saying were censured. However, they couldn't get it passed. They didn't have the votes to get this passed. So, this is what they did earlier this year. This is March. This is from the censure meeting that has become quite famous now.
Good evening. I am here to present a resolution to censure Representatives Metcalf and Bell for actions taken regarding the election of the Speaker of the House and the subsequent consequences of that action. I wish to refute the rumor that the party is attempting to rig the 2026 primary election by attempting to remove or prevent candidates from being placed on the primary ballot. Tonight's resolution is not seeking such action. True, the original intent was to present a Rule 44 resolution. However, due to a lack of clarity on the part of the SREC,
she claims there was a lack of clarity on the part of the SREC, but that's not actually what it was. They didn't have the votes.
We are instead submitting a resolution of censure that applies only to Montgomery County per our bylaws, Article 11, Section 1103.
Their words, their censure, their words. This is what was presented at the March CEC meeting in order to do a local censure against Representatives Will Metcalf and Cecil Bell Jr. CEC bylaw 11.03, their words, what they said, to censured candidates provides that a CEC may censure an elected official for violating three-party principles or rules. If adopted, it removes the restrictions on the party from endorsing or supporting candidates in the primary election. That means the CEC may openly campaign against a censured candidate using party funds. This is 11.01. These are the rules that are in place unless you're censured, right? That's what it says. CEC and steering committee, as a collective body, shall not endorse any candidate or issue on the Republican primary or primary runoff ballot. The exception to this rule is found in Section 3 of this article. What is Section 3? 11.03. CEC may, by a 2/3 vote of those present with 50% or more of the members voting, adopt a resolution censuring a Republican public or party officeholder or candidate representing all or a portion of the county. You can read the rest of it. These rules are published, right? You can get down to the underlined part. Such a resolution, after notice and invitation to the officeholder to speak before the CEC, may include that the named officeholder be penalized and censured, and declare that no rule or bylaw enacted by any division of the party at any level that demands the CEC be neutral intra-party contests shall be observed with respect to the named candidate. What that means is that if this is passed, they can use party resources to campaign against a censured candidate. This is what was attempted, and it did not pass. You see there, it says that by the CEC may, by a 2/3 vote of those present. The vote tally is right there at the top. That vote tally had 59% for. That is not 2/3. 67% is 2/3. This censure did not pass. I've repeatedly stated this. I've repeatedly pointed it out to the chairman, and she refuses to accept the undeniable math and the undeniable outcome that these censures did not pass. And she is clearly making a statement saying that the party will not support Representatives Will Metcalf and Cecil Bell Jr. That is a clear violation of party bylaws. Now, some people have said, but Scott, right, this is a generic resolution of censure. It didn't even go under 11.03. In fact, I think the chairman has tried to make this claim herself, and so has one of the other gentlemen who I'll talk about here in a minute. Here's the problem with that. Under the CEC bylaws, the Montgomery County bylaw 7.03, censured candidates, if you want to censure somebody, there's a resolutions committee. This is actually based on resolutions, right? Because a generic censure would be a generic resolution of censure. That requires that any resolution that has not been submitted to the resolutions committee may be submitted on the floor at the meeting, but must be adopted by 75% vote. 75% is more than 2/3, or 67%. So again, there is no way that this resolution of censure could have passed the CEC at the March meeting. There's also no mechanism to attach penalties to a generic resolution of censure other than the newly revised oath of office. What does the newly revised oath of office say? I will support only non-censured Republican candidates in the general election. That's it. It's ridiculous. I've pointed this out in another video, that there's no reason or rationale effectively why we should not be supporting the Republican nominee in the general election. The Republican Party should be supporting all the Republican nominees in the general election. That's just a plain fact. But this is literally the only thing in our bylaws or any other kind of rules that we have that would allow them to not support a candidate. It would be in the general election. But she's specifically talking about the context of the primary election in stating that the party will not be supporting these two candidates. Listen to what she says.
Two candidates, however, have been censored by the party and will not be supported by the party.
I've added this in here for just a little bit of humor, but it actually is an interesting segue. This is John Boucher, the former vice chair or co-chair of the Montgomery County Republican Party and candidate for HG16, said this in a recent interview about another subject referring to Will Metcalf. But I find it interesting that he would say this when it applies so well to the context we're talking about.
If it wasn't a big deal and it wasn't wrong what they did, why do they keep lying about it?
Yeah.
If it wasn't a big deal, and it's not wrong, the censure is just fine, why do they keep lying about it? It's a valid question. It seems like a pretty big deal to censure our local elected officials. And it seems like you should dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure that you know exactly what you're talking about and that you've done everything by the book. And in this case, they clearly haven't. We've gone through 3 iterations of this censure as far as I can tell. None of them passed. And yet, the chairman of the Republican Party is going to try and use them as a weapon against candidates she clearly doesn't like. We have to ask the question, what does not supported mean? Since the attempted censure of Representatives Metcalf, HG16, and Bell, HG3, failed, what does it mean for Gwen Withrow to say that the party will not be supporting them? County Chair Gwen Withrow appears to be attempting to penalize 2 incumbent state representatives in the 2026 primary election. So why is the chairman continuing to lie about the censure? Well, it's actually pretty easy to tell. If you remember the first part of that video where she talked glowingly for over a minute about John Boucher, former vice chair and a candidate for House District 16, who was she trying to censure? Representative Will Metcalf, the incumbent representative for House District 16. Will Metcalf has the endorsement of Donald Trump, the sitting Republican president of the United States. Cecil Bell Jr. also has the endorsement of Donald Trump, but as far as I know, he doesn't have an opponent right now. He's just caught in the crossfire because, at the end of the day, Will Metcalf commands 86% of the Republican primary vote. And Gwen Withrow supports John Boucher for House District 16. It's clear that this entire effort is designed to help John Boucher in his campaign against Will Metcalf. The sitting Montgomery County Republican Party chair is actively attempting to help the campaign of one candidate that she supports. What it comes down to is that the political insiders in Montgomery County are trying to actively support one candidate over another, which is against the party bylaws. This is why I'm running for Montgomery County Republican Party chair. I don't think this is in line with Republican Party principles. We are the party of Lincoln, who said we must preserve the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And these are new rules. Chair Withrow and her supporters changed the rules just last year so that they could weaponize them against their political opponents. Up until last year, it has been for decades the policy of the Republican Party to not endorse in primary elections, to not put their thumb on the scale, to not kick people off the ballot in the primary election, to remain neutral, and then to support all of our Republican candidates in the general election. This is a radical departure. It is a fundamental change in the Montgomery County Party rules, in the Republican Party of Texas rules, and really, I think it's a bad idea. So what can you do to stop it? First, you can contact your precinct chair. Go to mctxgop.org. That's the party website. You can look up your precinct chair there. If you don't know which precinct you're in, you can look on your voter registration card, or you can look it up at montgomeryvotes.org, which is the county election site. Then you can go back and cross-reference that. If you need help, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. Next, you can get involved. Attend CEC meetings, or better yet, run to be a precinct chair. We desperately need good precinct chairs who will represent the Republican voters in their precincts. And you can join me. I'm running for Montgomery County Chair to stop this nonsense and restore the Republican Party to sanity. My campaign kickoff is October 11th at the Honor Cafe in Conroe from 5 to 8 p.m. I welcome you to join me. Come and talk to me. Let me know how you feel about this. I need your help to stop this nonsense. I can't do it alone. I need your support, and I want to hear your voice. We need common sense Republicans to represent the Montgomery County Republican voters. It's as simple as that. We need to keep it simple. We need to get back to our core functions as a party. That is to run the primary. That is to grow the Republican Party. And that is to get out the vote. Get people to the polls, engage and inform the voters so that they can make an informed decision on their own without political insiders putting their thumb on the scale or trying to sway elections. Thank you. I hope this video is helpful. I hope all my videos are helpful for you. Please like and share this video. Post your comments and feedback below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear your input, negative or positive. It is a free country after all. God bless you. God bless Texas. God bless President Trump. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.